Welcome into 49ers Access. My name is Sterling Bennett, and just when you thought the San Francisco 49ers were going to have a drama-free offseason, hopefully leading into a very good 2025 campaign, a lot of that is out the window now because cornerback Deommodore Lenoir has been arrested by police in what they are calling obstruction of justice. I want to dive into the police report today and tell you what could happen, what is actively happening, when his hearing date is, and what should we expect as things progress for Lenoir in the upcoming weeks and months. But first, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the show. Hit that like button, and let's dive into Deommodore Lenoir being arrested by the police on Thursday night. As you can see, I have in front of us here ESPN via the way Adam Schefter. The police report says cornerback Deommodore Lenoir was arrested in Los Angeles on Thursday night on a charge of obstruction of justice. He was released early Friday morning, a very good sign for San Francisco, and is set to appear in court next month, according to the jail records. According to LAPD, officers had approached a group that included Lenoir and observed a gun inside a parked vehicle. When police asked for the keys to the car, another man tossed them to Lenoir. Lenoir then threw the keys to a third man who tried to hide them, according to multiple reports. It does say San Francisco has yet to release a statement, albeit they have in the last few minutes. I'll show you that in a few seconds, but Lenoir was arrested on a charge of obstruction of justice. I'll keep the report up for you here, by the way, or via Adam Schefter. San Francisco did release a statement on this, stating a very obvious and very kind of bland response, saying, "We are aware of the matter involving Lenoir and are in the process of gathering further information on the incident." Now, I think it's important to note that law enforcement officers told TMZ that a man named Marcus Cunningham was who they observed double parked and blocking traffic. TMZ was told the cops suspected quote-unquote criminal activity and noticed a gun was in Cunningham's car. During the interaction, Cunningham threw the keys to Lenoir, which he then threw to somebody else, which led to the obstruction of justice charge, and they gave him a count of resisting a peace officer. Now, when you hear that, an arrest, obstruction of justice, the worst things come to mind, but it really does seem like this should not be a big deal for San Francisco going forward. I know, again, obstruction of justice, police, Lenoir arrests, all those kind of big words make it sound like this could be a big deal for San Francisco, and it may end up being a problem for them down the road, but it really sounds like on a very basic level, a bunch of rich dudes went to LA, were in Los Angeles, had their nice cars out, double parked, didn't want to get hit, didn't want to park their car at a meter and risk getting dinged on the way out or being hit by someone else trying to parallel park. They double parked, they blocked some traffic. The police rolled up saying, "Hey, what's going on here? You guys can't do this." Then the rest of the events ensued, but it wasn't like he was fighting. It wasn't like there was this scuffle that led to further issues with Lenoir. It seemed rather peaceful. And honestly, the report also doesn't indicate whether Marcus Cunningham, the guy who was said to have had the gun in the car, was he able to conceal carry? Was he able to legally have the gun? Now, if it was unmarked and it was not registered to him, that may cause a bigger problem for Lenoir in the future. However, I don't think with him being the one carrying the gun, with him being the one having said gun either registered or not to his name, that'll probably go on Marcus Cunningham, not Lenoir. So it does seem like, yes, it's an arrest. Yes, it's an obstruction of justice charge, which really shouldn't be a problem. The NFL usually only cares about felonies. And I think in this case, the NFL, while probably won't look the other way, it does seem like that this is not going to be an account where you're talking about massive suspensions. There may be a fine in place here or there, but he spent overnight in jail, one night in jail, released the next day. And of the group involved in this, he seems like the lesser party between him and Cunningham. It almost seems like Lenoir was like, hey, it's not my car. Here, take the keys. Now, maybe more comes out in the meantime, and we learn that there is more involved in this from Lenoir's end, but everything does kind of lean to this being a non-issue for the San Francisco 49ers and Lenoir in the future. I think previous Niners have been arrested. You go to like Ray McDonald, Aldon Smith, Reuben Foster, guys who were indicted on or charged with serious like assault allegations. That's not the case for Lenoir. The NFL also has yet to suspend receiver Demarcus Robinson for a DUI back in November. They may drag their feet and it could hurt Lenoir down the road. But again, not a felony. The gun may have been able to be in the car and registered to legally. Marcus Cunningham, which again shouldn't be a problem in California. Now, I know California is really strict on their gun laws, so maybe there's a wrinkle in there which could come back to bite San Francisco and Lenoir, but it really doesn't seem like it's that big of a deal. It is going to be a misdemeanor classification of the charge against Lenoir. So, again, it really doesn't seem like it'll be a problem. The one tricky factor in this is that the court date is set for July 25th. That is 3 days after the Niners veterans are supposed to report to training camp on July 22nd. So whether that, again, causes a further problem for San Francisco or to simply a delayed return for him back to Santa Clara, I'm sure there'll be some answers provided to us via the way of Lenoir or the organization. But I know in a very dull offseason for San Francisco and the fan base, this was like a shocker of, oh my God, what just happened? I don't want to say it's not a big deal because anytime there's law enforcement involved, you're obstructing justice. That can lead to bigger things down the road or some things we aren't privy to just yet as fans and media. But when you see breaking news, Niners star cornerback arrested, the odds this thing carries on further or becomes a larger issue or maybe leads to a suspension for Lenoir really doesn't seem to be that high. That said, the NFL is very confusing when it comes to who they want to bring the hammer down on and who they don't want to, right? We've seen over and over again other players, other examples of bigger issues, wink, wink, Tyreek Hill, him really never being suspended, him not having problems. Again, the NFL took a long time, and I think is actually yet to address Rashee Rice's incident last year when he was caught, I believe it was in a big traffic incident during the offseason. This is a minor infraction for Lenoir. Shouldn't be a problem whatsoever for him. And again, they haven't even got to and assessed what they're going to do with Demarcus Robinson's DUI back in November of last year. So I know it's a big deal, and I do want to kind of explore what that could mean for San Francisco. Let's say if the NFL does come down hard on Lenoir and say, let's give him a 1-game, 3-game, 4-game suspension, which I don't think will be the case. But if they do, that's a really big loss for San Francisco to begin their season. 3 of their first 5 games are against the NFC West. They have the Seahawks, Cardinals, and Rams through those first 5 weeks of the season. You're going to have to play Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams, Marvin Harrison Jr., Michael Wilson, Cooper Kupp, and Jackson Smith-Njigba. And to not have your top cornerback out there, that is a big loss for you. Now you have Bernardo Green, who you love a lot, which is funny because both those players, Green and Lenoir, were on mine and Gray Area Sports' top 5 most important San Francisco 49ers for the 2025 season. They may become more important, or at least Green becomes more important if Lenoir cannot play. You're also going to have to rely on players like Upton Stout, a rookie from or out of this past draft class, and then also Trey Brown, a big signing for them. They're one big kind of cornerback signing during the offseason to kind of pick up the pieces and start for them to begin the year if Lenoir can't play to begin the season. But I wouldn't, my mind is not thinking, oh my God, this is it. Lenoir's going to be done for a handful of games. This very much feels like a small infraction, a minor distraction, if you will. But I think at worst, you may get one game. But ultimately, I think the worst thing will be a big fine for him, which he's getting paid handsomely after a 5-year extension. So it shouldn't really be that big of a deal. I don't think San Francisco views this as a major issue for them. And a lot of these things, like if the legal process takes place and they don't come down hard on Lenoir, the unfortunate part is the NFL can still find him guilty of something and then again lead to either financial or maybe games being lost down the road. But I don't think that'll be a problem for Lenoir or the San Francisco 49ers. Obviously, it happened last night. San Francisco, like they said, are gaining or trying to gather further information as we speak. But all indications point to this being a very small issue, a minor infraction, and a lot of the blame not being placed on Lenoir. If his only in like issue, if his only fault, and I guess you can say the bad thing he did was tossing car keys to a third party to avoid giving them to police. Yeah, don't do that. Hand it over. Maybe there is more to learn from that. Maybe something else was in the car. But if that handgun is legally belonging to Marcus Cunningham, this is almost a non-issue for the cornerback and the San Francisco 49ers. But tell me down below, what do you think of Deommodore Lenoir's arrest? What are your takeaways? Do you think this could lead to a bigger issue for San Francisco down the road? Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Follow us on social media at 49ers_access is the X and Twitter. 49ers.access is the Instagram. And until next time, my name is Sterling Bennett, and stay faithful.